It's time for the Green Bay Packers to send a message this week against this Cincinnati Bengals team.
You are Locked On Packers, your daily Green Bay Packers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
You are Locked On Packers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm Peter Bukowski, and I cover the Packers for The Leap, a newsletter I would love for you to subscribe to. Follow me on Twitter, Peter_Bukowski. Follow the podcast on Twitter, Locked On Packers. Like us on Facebook. Subscribe to the podcast to iTunes, Spotify, Google Podcasts, wherever you find podcasts, you will find Locked On Packers, the number one Packers podcast on the internet, and the show for fans who know what happened, they want to know why and how. Thanks to everyone who makes Locked On Packers their first listen every day. We hope you like starting our day with us as much as we like starting our day with you. Of course, we love that. Today's episode brought to you by our friends at Mazda. Like our players, we sweat every detail because when you make every move count, pulling off the unexpected is only the beginning. Stay tuned later for highlights in this week's Moving the Game Forward by Mazda. Moved and be moved. Normally, I am not someone who believes in the BCS-ification of the NFL. I don't believe that, okay, well, the Packers, they lose to the Browns, and so it matters that the Lions beat the crap out of the Browns. I don't think that stuff matters because the transitive property is not a thing in the NFL. Just because one team plays one team a certain way does not mean another team has to play another team a certain way. This is not just about the fact that the Lions beat the Bengals 37-24 on Sunday afternoon. And by the way, it took a late touchdown to seal that win. Isaac Tesla just like constantly around the situation here. The real story on that game is the Lions blew that game, and it should not have been as close as it was. It took 21 fourth quarter points from the Bengals to just make that a game, and they did, but it was never really that much in the balance. Jake Browning throws 3 touchdowns, but also throws 3 interceptions, and that Bengals defense gives up 37 points. Let me just, since the Joe Burrow situation, they come back, they beat the Jaguars in week 2 in a game where Joe Burrow gets hurt and Jake Browning has to come in. Since then, they lost 48-10 to the Minnesota Vikings. They lose 28-3 to the Denver Broncos, and they lose 37-24 to the Detroit Lions. That is 3 potential playoff teams that absolutely put the bang thing on the Cincinnati Bengals. They lose by 1 million scores to the Vikings. They lose by 1 million scores to the Broncos, and they ultimately lose by 2 touchdowns to the Lions. Yes, that game at the end at least was closer than it seemed like it was, but that was a blowout for really the whole game. The reason this is important for the Packers is not unlike week 1 in that, relax. In that, the Packers' problem, such that they have one this year, is that they have not got up for the bad teams. They've had no problems getting up for the good teams. Go get up and beat the daylights out of the Lions. Go get up just a couple days later and beat the crap out of the Washington Commanders. Okay? That can be done. The question is, can you get up and beat the crap out of a bad team? By the way, that Commanders team, that same Commanders team, just absolutely worked a Chargers team playing at home that a week ago looked like a Super Bowl contender. The Commanders did that. They're down 10-0 and they rip off 27 straight points. They beat the Chargers 27-10 in LA. That's the Packers' 2 wins. The Lions look like world beaters against everyone else. Against the Packers, they look like a JV team. And the Commanders, they haven't looked like world beaters against everyone else, but they just beat a really freaking good team on the road in comfortable fashion. The Packers beat that team. The Packers were considerable favorites going on the road to play the Browns. They don't play their best football. If they play their best football, they beat the Browns. If they just play like a B, let's say they played a B minus game. If they just play a B minus and a half game, what's the B minus? What is the B minus in your school? I don't know what it was. My school, I think a B minus was like between a 78 and an 82. So if you have the like 81 B minus instead of the 79 B minus, that means probably your field goal doesn't get blocked and you win the game. That's the difference. But this Packers team against this Bengals team, this is a mismatch. The Packers are heavily favored in this game. They are heavily favored for a reason. Because they are a much better football team. They have not done particularly well this year when they have been the clear favorites. They are 0-1-1 in games where they are the clear heavy favorites. Yes, they were favorites in week 1. They ended up being favored in week 2. It was not a touchdown plus. This game is going to be a blowout type stuff. That's what we thought it was going to be against the Browns. And then had the Browns game not happen, and I said this on our squad show. I said, if you play just Packers, Cowboys week 3 and the Browns game doesn't happen, the Packers would have been like 10-point favorites. Or at least, I think a discerning analyst might have picked the Packers by 10 plus. Well, you'd have been wrong, right? You'd have been wrong. Now, that doesn't mean I don't think the Packers are that good. I do. But these are the games. I made fun of the Lions. I have made fun of the Lions in the past for being a team that loves to front run. They love to be up 14 and then go up 28. They love to do that. Now, I wish the Packers would do that a little bit more at times. But when they don't, like for example, against the Lions, that's a really good team. They could have scored more against the Commanders. Well, that's a really good team. Now, they let the Browns hang around. Matthew Golden stays in bounds at 17-0. That game's over. Against the Cowboys, the Packers have that early. It's 13-2. You have an opportunity to make it 20-2 at some point. You can't do it. If you can, that game is probably over. If you turn a 2-score lead into a 4-score lead in a hurry, see what I mean? So I do think there's value in that. I would like to see the Packers come out and play a team that they are comfortably better than. This Bengals team cannot stop anybody and they cannot score. So beat the crap out of them. You're at home, coming off a bye. Just go destroy them. Go come out and play like you have a point to prove. Please. Because I don't want to have these conversations all week about, oh, well, the Packers beat the Bengals 27-24 and the Lions did it, with 10 more points, whatever. I don't want to have to do that. Now, maybe there's value in that moving forward because you're able to coach the team a different way. And if you're Matt LaFleur, you never want to blow out with a young team because you don't want them feeling too good about themselves and all that stuff. There's a psychology angle here that maybe you want to play. I'm not particularly interested in playing that angle. What I want to see is the Packers come out and beat the absolute brakes off the Bengals. And if you look at the upcoming schedule, you look at the teams that the Packers have to play over the next week, over the next month. Man, it is an extremely favorable schedule for the Packers. They get the Bengals with Jake Browning, maybe. They get the Cardinals, who just lost to the freaking Titans. I know that's in Arizona, but there's going to be 40,000 Packer fans there. And they have to go to Pittsburgh. That Steelers team, I'm sorry, that Steelers team is fake as hell. I don't buy that Steelers team at all. And then the Panthers. If you want to go just like the next month, the next 4 weeks, that's the schedule. This team really should be 6-1-1 playing against the Eagles, who also just lost because they gacked a fourth quarter lead on Sunday against a team that I think is just okay. It's all right there for the Packers, but they have to go and take it. Now, They could potentially have some players coming back, and that is big for this team. We'll talk about why next on Locked On Packers. This episode is brought to you by Square, your favorite neighborhood spots run on Square. There are certain businesses that make the neighborhood the neighborhood. There are places that become an extension of home, whether it's the sports bar dedicated to your team's fan base, the spot with the best wings in town for every game, or that beloved local chain that's been rooted in your community for years. These businesses are what bring people together. And when neighborhood businesses thrive, the whole neighborhood thrives. Sports are something that brings neighborhoods together, whether it's gathering for game day rituals, celebrating the best wings, or being part of a fan base that calls this place home. Square is a proud partner of more than 4 million neighborhood businesses around the world. You can go to square.com/go/LockedOnNFL to learn more. But before you do, go support your favorite neighborhood spot. You'll be happy you did. Square. See you in the neighborhood. Today's episode also brought to you by our friends at Mazda's, moving the game forward. For those who believe it's not just about playing the game, it's about redefining it. There are moments that do more than just put points on the board. They move crowds, they move culture, and they keep moving the game forward. The Packers didn't play this week, so let's move the game forward with Christian Watson, who it sounds like is going to have an opportunity to come off the IR when the Packers resume practices this week as they get ready for the Cincinnati Bengals. There are a ton of big plays we could talk about with Christian Watson. He is a big play waiting to happen, and we will talk more about him coming up. When you follow what moves you, the unexpected is only the beginning. And just like there's more to every highlight, there's more to a Mazda vehicle. Mazda, move and be moved. There are two important players anyway, the Packers can bring back as soon as this week as part of the injured reserve with a designation to return. And I'm glad the NFL changed the rule. MarShawn Lloyd and Christian Watson. We know what Christian Watson is capable of doing in this offense. We've seen him as an explosive element. We've seen what his vertical field stretching can do for this team. And that is not all he brings. He is a terrific blocker. He is someone who provides a geometric advantage for the Packers. And when you look at Green Bay, they are right now 8th in success rate as we stand here today, but 2nd offensively in EPA per play. Well, that difference is in part the running game. It has not been as successful as the Packers were hoping this year. The Packers are 6th in drop back success rate. But when you're an offense built on creating explosive plays, it's really nice to have a player you know can do that. Matthew Golden, so far this year, has been in that role, and he has created some explosive plays. But there's also at least 2 obvious ones where you go, well, Jordan Love and Matthew Golden just not on the same page there. And it wasn't like, oh, they're not on the same page, like Golden's running the wrong route or Jordan thinks he's going to take the ball up the seam and Golden takes the corner. There was the big play that, frankly, should have been a touchdown to Dontavian Wicks if Matthew Golden just runs his route the right way. But generally speaking, they have been a tick off with, okay, how fast do you run? How far do you got to put the ball out? Like, what's the situation there? Jordan Love and Christian Watson don't have that issue. They seem to be on the same page when it comes to that stuff. They seem to be able to manage, okay, this ball's coming in this direction, just go get it. I think of the ball against the Cardinals last year, where Love just lays it out toward the corner, toward the pylon. It's more of a skinny post route from Christian Watson, but Love just lays it over the top. And Christian just keeps running right to where the ball ends up being. Doesn't even have to break stride. It's a walk-in touchdown. That game is an ass kicking at the hands of the Green Bay Packers. Would Matthew Golden have made that same play? Maybe. Maybe not. We know Christian Watson would make that play. And what's more, we don't know how defenses are going to react to seeing both of those guys on the field at the same time. And if you want to play man coverage against that, good luck, brother. Good luck trying to run with those two guys. You want to cut crossers. You want to play aggressively downhill against mesh. You want to do all the stuff that teams want to do against the Packers over the years when they just haven't had the speed to kill you over the top. Cool. Try it. And then you've got Christian Watson running that backside post route. Oh, that safety vacated because he's coming up trying to cut a crosser. Oh, he's trying to play downhill against mesh because he wants to come in and make that tackle. Okay. Now, you have to be able to block it up. That's part of it. And you hope when you come back from the bye week that you got Zach Tom, that you've got your offensive line in order, that Aaron Banks is able to get healthy, assuming you think Aaron Banks is one of your best players. That's a different conversation. Jordan Morgan, let's see if he gets that opportunity against Rasheed Walker. I would love to see that. He brings you so much in the passing game. Now, the more unknown is MarShawn Lloyd. But the reason I want to see MarShawn Lloyd is because this offensive line has not been effective at opening holes for Josh Jacobs. They're 11th in rush EPA. They're creating some explosive. They are 10th in success rate on the ground. Jordan Love is contributing to some of that. So this is a good run game. It's not a great run game. They were a top 5 run game, top 3 run game last year. Having a player in there who can create some more explosives, who can be something in the passing game for you, who, you put Chris Brooks in there on 3rd and 8, 3rd and 10, 3rd and 12. Well, now you can put MarShawn Lloyd in there on 2nd and 4 and run a route with him. The wheel we saw against Indianapolis, that's part of his bag. Now there's some drops and we don't know if, what his pass protection is at real speed. And I think there's real questions about what he's capable of being and what he's capable of doing in this offense. No doubt about it. But the explosiveness, the elusiveness that he brings is just not something that Chris Brooks or Emmanuel Wilson have in their bags. Now, is Emmanuel Wilson a more proven natural runner? Sure, absolutely. Is Chris Brooks a more proven pass protector? Oh my God, by far. Chris Brooks has shown he is one of the best pass protectors in the NFL at the running back position. I mean, MarShawn Lloyd, not even close in terms of someone who has proven it. Doesn't mean he can't do it. Doesn't mean he can't play at a high level. He might be able to. We just haven't seen it. And for a team that expects to compete for a Super Bowl, that's a pretty big question mark. By the way, I'm just looking at these numbers right now. This is crazy. The Packers have a better success rate rushing the ball than the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, I know the Eagles lost on Sunday. Like that, I did not expect that when I pulled these up. And by the way, the number 1 team in rush success rate this year, right now, offensively, the Dallas Cowboys. What? And the Packers contributed to that somewhat. Look at the top 10. The Vikings, the Lions, the Packers are all in there. A lot of really good teams being able to run the ball. If you can run the ball in the NFL right now, it is just such an advantage for you and everything you can do because these teams can't just play too high. I mean, the Broncos against the Eagles, we're going to talk about this in a second, but like, it is a benefit to you when you can run the ball because it allows you to dictate coverages. If you have another player, not just Josh Jacobs, because when the Packers bring in Emmanuel Wilson, when they bring in Chris Brooks, Christopher Lloyd, 1.21 gigawatts. When you're bringing in these other players, And the defenses know we just don't have to worry about that guy the same sort of way. Well, now you bring in a player off the bench, and you do have to worry about MarShawn Lloyd that kind of way. In terms of explosiveness, again, down to down. Consistency, we don't know. Can he pass protect? We don't know for sure. But if he can rip off some explosive runs, teams have to respect that. And that for the Packers is something that even when Josh Jacobs is in there, teams don't fear the same kind of way. If MarShawn Lloyd makes them feel that kind of way, it can have major ramifications for the way defenses approach the Packers moving forward that can help them create explosives in the passing game. Now, I want to talk about the state of the NFC. That's next on Locked On Packers. The NFL season is here, and FanDuel has an offer you don't want to miss. Right now, new customers can bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win. That's right, pick a bet, put down $5, and if it hits, you'll unlock $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. It makes watching football even more exciting when you've got something on the line. Whether you're a casual fan or love diving into the stats, FanDuel makes the game day experience so much better. The Packers right now, 14.5-point favorites against the Bengals on Sunday. They are 12-1 to win on the money line. Now, what I think is interesting is the total is 43.5. The Lions-Bengals game cruised past that over. I kind of think I'd like the I would take the Packers. If you want to be safe, take the Packers on the money line and the over to make those odds a little bit better. You know, I don't know if that's going to do a ton for you. You put those two together. Well, you can get it at plus 101. Okay. I actually like that very much. Thank you very much. Yes. Wonderful. I like that. So what are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com to download the FanDuel app today and get started. You look around the NFC, you know, the Vikings with Carson Wentz, they beat Dylan Gabriel, but barely. They need to score late in the fourth quarter at Tottenham. Look, I know the Packers didn't beat the Browns, but like different situation, I would say, in a lot of ways. I don't know why anyone would be particularly scared of the Vikings at this point. Now the Cowboys keep moving forward, 2-2-1. They beat the brakes off the Jets on the road. But the Eagles, they give up 18 fourth quarter points to the Denver Broncos, and they lose 21-17. That game was done. It was out of hand. It was 17-3 in the fourth quarter. And the Eagles blew it. And all the conversations about Jalen Hurts and is he getting Devontae Smith the ball enough? Is he getting A.J. Brown the ball enough? Is the passing game good enough? The numbers say, hey, yeah, it was good. 23 of 38, 280 for Jalen Hurts, 2 touchdowns. And yet in the second half, they basically took the collar. Basically took the collar in the second half. This Eagles team, I don't know why anyone would be scared of this Eagles team. They are not. This is 2023 Philadelphia Eagles, not 2022 or 2024 Eagles. Do they have time to right the ship? Yes, they do. Do I believe Nick Sirianni can do it? Absolutely, I do not. The Cardinals were a popular hipster team bet before the year. They give up 16 fourth quarter points at home to Cam Ward and the Tennessee Titans. And they lose. The Buccaneers can't keep getting away with this. They don't scare me at all. But I think if you had concerns about the Seahawks, 38 points at home to Mayfield without a full complement of his players. I mean, can't be that mad about what Seattle's offense did in this game. I think the Packers have a better offense than either of these teams, and I think they have a better defense than either of these teams. So, not really worried about that one. And then, look, the Lions, they're 4-1. They've played well. The Packers realistically should be 4-0. They're not. They're 2-1-1. But they already beat this team. And this Bengals team, we're about to see it. Like, they stink. I'm sorry, they stink. And I mentioned it, the Commanders, like, come on. They go in and they just break it off against the Chargers. 27 straight to win that game. The defense holds Justin Herbert in check. Like, you know, whatever you want to say about Justin Herbert, whatever ceiling you thought he broke through this year. 22 of 29 for 166. That's less than 6 yards per attempt. A passer rating below 90, had a touchdown and an interception. That's ugly work, man. And then on Thursday, like the Rams were supposed to be this scary team. Stafford throws for almost 400 yards of offense, and McVay at the end runs one of the dumbest fourth down calls I've ever seen. Like, I had no problem with him going for it, but then to run behind two receivers and a tight end? I mean, they tried to get really cute. That was galaxy brain nonsense. And they lose to Mac Jones. And I'm sorry, they didn't just lose to Mac Jones. They got carved up by Mac Jones. 342 yards and 2 touchdowns, Mac Jones. A passer rating over 100, Mac Jones. Give up the game-losing points in overtime to Mac Jones. Who are you afraid of in the NFC? And why would it be anybody? The Packers are as good or better than all of these teams. And the losing and the winning is just part of it. Like, the Packers in week 2 crushed a Commanders team that just beat an AFC contender. The Packers in week 1 crushed an NFC team that has looked since then like an NFC contender. The Packers did not play their best against either the Browns or the Cowboys, and they go 0-1-1 in those games. But Dak Prescott also saw God for 35 minutes of that game. Really just the second half. The sack fumble into the second half. This Packers team is as good as any of those teams. They're as good as any of those teams, and the hope is that they prove it on Sunday by doing what we said at the top, beating the absolute crap out of the Cincinnati Bengals. All right, back tomorrow. Much more here on Locked On Packers. Follow me on the social medias. Peter_Bukowski. Follow the podcast on the social medias. Subscribe to the podcast wherever you get podcasts. Subscribe over on our YouTube page. We'll be live after the game on Sunday. We'll be live for our squad show this week, so you can stay locked on Packers.